Future, faith, and freedom. That is the heart of First Liberty's new initiative, F3. Hi, I'm Peyton Luke, and you're watching First Liberty Live. First Liberty has an exciting new initiative that's meant to equip, educate, and empower the next generation of leaders. And here to give us the full download of all the details are Nathan Shackelford and Shaun Frederickson. So gentlemen, thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So Shaun, I want to jump to you and we're going to go right into it. So in a nutshell, give us the overall mission and purpose of F3.
Yeah, F3 is really focused on educating and empowering the 20s to 40s to get educated on what First Liberty has accomplished and what we can do with those tools. So a lot of people have seen the Coach Kennedy case and we're impressed by what First Liberty has accomplished. But what does that mean? What can we do with that? What is the lemon test? What is the value of it being gone? So F3 is really trying to take it back to that practical sense to educate the 20s to 40s to get engaged again and recognize they can do something with those tools.
That's great. And I think it's so important to mobilize and educate and really get people active and involved.
Yeah.
And so what's fun is I actually have your video promo and we're going to play it so the folks at home can see it and just get a sense of even more what this is all about.
There is an obvious war going on in our country right now, a war over our kids, our jobs, and over culture itself. The narrative told us that we're losing this war and that we can't make a difference and there's nothing that we can do to fight back. Just give up and adapt to the new normal. But a movement is growing, and it's made by a group of everyday parents, employees, business owners, just like you, who are standing up to say, enough. Teachers who realize that we can flip the script on this war and culture. Moms and dads who not only know their rights, but know how to stand up for them and defend them. Business professionals who know that not only can we take ground, but we are taking ground. So what are you waiting for? If you want to know how to stand up, protect your children, and be a part of moving the needle in your community, join us as we continue to restore the future of faith and freedom in America.
Okay, I think that was awesome, and right there you kind of get the energy going and get us excited for this new initiative. So it's great. Good song selection, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Nicely done. Nicely done. Okay, so overall, a second ago you said the target demographic when it comes to the age. So just expound a little more on why particularly that demographic.
Well, we're realizing the 20s to 40s are looking for something to do. I hear the question often, or we hear the question often, what do I do? Like, we're seeing society crumble in front of us and we're recognizing there are tools out there, but how do we take advantage of those tools? And really that's what we're attempting to do here, is equip that next generation to recognize not only do we have the tools, but we want to teach you how to use them, what you can do, give you practical tools to do it.
Sure.
Yeah, and this group too, that 20s, that mid-20s range, that's right when you're getting out of college. You're on your own, you're starting your career, you're building into your 30s. So this is a time where you're kind of really developing who you are as a person in your career. You're starting your family. It's a time that a lot of your life is being formed, and so it's kind of important to know what your rights are and know what you can do. So that when you're in these situations, like we get in our cases a lot of times, you kind of know what your rights are and what you can do about it, because a lot of our clients are in this target demographic of 30s, 40s. People, just regular everyday people with kids, with those that are in the workplace. A lot of our clients are in this age demographic as well.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what are some of the rights and the tools that you want to educate people on and equip people in, kind of like when you go out and do your man on the street interviews and everything? What are the things you want to instill into the next generation?
Well, I was talking about a story earlier where there was a teacher that came up to me. He was actually a guidance counselor at a public school, and he's a Christian. And he felt so impacted by the DEI and all the training that he has to go through. And he said, man, it's really oppressive being a Christian in this atmosphere. And I said, bro, why don't you stand up for your faith? Like, why don't you put a sign on your door that says like proud believer, or put a cross on your desk and let people know who you are as a Christian. And he said, oh, I could never do that. I'd get in so much trouble by the administration. And I can't express my freedom of religion. I said, oh my God, you absolutely can, and you ought to. And he was so encouraged knowing that he had the ability to put a simple cross on his desk. And he ended up taking a photo of it and he sent it to me to say, hey, you're right, I'm doing it. And those little things are what we need to figure out how to implement and start to do around the country, because we can express our freedom much more than we think we can.
Yeah, and that directly relates to the free exercise clause and the
That's right.
establishment clause
That's
and,
right.
you know, the 5 rights in the First
That's right.
Amendment.
Yes.
And it is so sad when you
Yes.
hear that people don't fully realize what their rights are. And then the beauty and amazing opportunity we have as Americans that's like we can fully express
Yes.
our religious
Yes.
beliefs. So I'm so glad that you're
Yes.
then educating people, and it's exciting now that we have F3 because then
Yeah.
we get to continue that and get to share it with even more people. So Nathan, I want to go over to you. And so where did the overall concept for F3 originate?
Yeah, I mean, so so obviously my dad is Kelly Shackelford, and so I've been around First Liberty for a long time, and most nonprofits, they're really focusing on people that are a little bit farther on in life. The average giver to most nonprofits is 60. And I looked at that and saw, okay, there's a big need for younger people to get involved with what's going on now, earlier on in life versus waiting till later. And so I wanted to find a way to kind of get more people to understand not just about First Liberty, but what their rights are, how First Liberty can kind of help with those things, and then help equip and empower that group to kind of make a difference before they get to that point that they're later on in their career, but to really address it earlier on.
Sure. And I know in the past you told me there's something called ambassadors that are part of the F3 initiative. So tell us a little bit about what the ambassadors are and what they do.
Yeah, so our ambassadors are the people that, I mean, this is a grassroots movement essentially. And so the only way that we start somewhere is if we have a group of ambassadors or group of people that say, hey, how do I get this in my community? So our ambassadors are the ones that say, hey, I want to be educated on this. I want to know what's going on at First Liberty. I want to know what's going on with F3. And then I want to introduce those F3 to my community, to those around me. I want to bring people to events. I want to be engaged. I want to hear about the cases and really understand those. I want to help share on social media. And then I want to do whatever I can do to support First Liberty. So those ambassadors are kind of the ones saying, I'm all in on this. And how do I really help spread this in my community? So that's really the goal of the ambassadors. And so our first group of ambassadors are in Dallas, Houston, and San Diego, but our goal is to go all across the country, wherever those people want to get things started.
Sure. And so if people want to get involved even now, like they're watching this episode and they think, hey, this is really cool and I want to be involved, no matter where they are in the nation, they can already get involved. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of different ways. I mean, it could just be staying in the know of what's going on with F3 and First Liberty. It could be saying, hey, let's get something going in our area. So that'd be me coming out and maybe talking to a small group of people for coffee, lunch, dinner, something like that. There are lots of different ways to get involved. And if you go to the website, firstliberty.org/F3, there's a lot of different tools on there for options of how to get involved and ways that you can really get involved with what we're doing.
And so a big part of F3 is educating people on what their rights are and letting them know. And you mentioned Lemon Case and Kennedy earlier. So what is the difference then between F3 and, say, the initiative Restoring Faith in America and kind of the nuances there?
I think they play together pretty well because really that Restoring Faith in America campaign is meant to say, okay, we just won a victory. We just had a victory. We now have more rights than we've had before. Now what do we do? And I think that F3 is in the same way intended to say, okay, we have these rights. Now what can we do? The Restoring Faith in America campaign is specifically focused on what can we do after Lemon. So we'll definitely talk about that in F3 and design resources and tools and videos to talk about what that case means, why Lemon being gone is important, the new rights we have. So there'll be a lot of interplay between those two. But then as First Liberty keeps winning cases that keep setting more precedent, we're going to have to look at, okay, what does this case mean? Now that we won this case, what does this mean for our rights? And so it's going to start with Restoring Faith in America and that type of idea, but it'll keep going as we keep winning more cases.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So Shaun, I want to jump back over to you and just say, so why is your heart in this and in this initiative? And like, what made you passionate about getting involved?
Well, one, the organization's amazing, and the work that First Liberty has done is really incredible to be able to make such a dramatic effect toward religious liberty in America. And two, recognizing that this organization is really from the ground up, that it's from the citizens. And when citizens recognize what they can do with their authority and their inalienable rights, that once they start to assert those rights, that's where freedom really starts to spread around America. And that's the heartbeat behind F3, is really trying to educate and empower people to assert them, because if we don't assert those rights, they'll be taken away just in a matter of time. And so if we can do our job well to educate and empower citizens to know their rights, then those citizens go and educate and empower people in their community, then over the course of time, maybe we'll have more religious liberty here in America from the work that we're doing here at First Liberty.
That's great. So I have to ask you, since you do the man on the street
Yes.
interviews and everything, what's the craziest thing you've seen or heard, or like, oh my goodness, where is America going now? This is the everyday person. They don't know much about the Constitution or their rights or history.
Yeah.
I just want to hear some of your experiences when you were on the street.
Wow, there's been a number of them. Trying to think of them on the fly. It's unfortunate how uninformed we are as Americans. We know pop songs. We know the full the movie of Dumb and Dumber. We can recite it from the top of our heads, and Ace Ventura, but we don't know the 10 Commandments, nor do we know the 10 Amendments in the Bill of Rights, which are fundamental to freedom. You know, if you don't know the 10 Commandments, then how can you govern yourself? And if you don't know the 10 Amendments, then how do we govern, or how do we limit government? And it's terrifying recognizing that we have been so distracted by entertainment that we have kind of fallen into this sense of consumerism, rather than recognizing that we have a duty and a responsibility in a republic. Mm-hmm. And so, unfortunately, many of the people I've spoken with have been shockingly uninformed, but there's been moments where the people that I have the lowest expectation for, like children, I'll come up to and ask questions about the 5 rights and the Bill of Rights, or something to do with the Constitution, and they will recite them off quickly. So that gives me hope for the next generation, that if we're willing to give the information and teach, then there's a possibility that we could have more liberty soon. Yeah.
And speaking to that hope, and either one of you are free to answer this, or both of you if you would like, but what are some ways we have hope for the future of America, and how F3 directly connects to the future hope of our country?
Yeah, I mean, I'd start with saying just what we've seen the last few years in the Supreme Court. A lot of our rights come from how the Supreme Court interprets laws, and if they're going to enforce the laws that's written, or if they're going to try to create their own law. And I think we have a good Supreme Court right now that's going to follow the laws written, which should mean that we should win every single one of our cases when we get to the Supreme Court. And I think we've seen that over the last 2 years with the 4 cases that we've won, and the precedent that's set. And those aren't just precedents that are going to go away tomorrow. Those are going to be there for hundreds of years and protect both of our kids and our grandkids, probably even, because of those precedents that we won. And so I think we have now a lot of these freedoms, and we have a lot of these rights. But kind of like we've been talking about, we have to know that you have those rights to know that you can even do something, and to know what to do. So our goal is to take what First Liberty has done, and take what the cases that we've won and the positivity of things that have happened, and be able to explain to people, now this is what you can do. Now this is how you can be more bold. This is how you can live out your life without fear of something coming against you. And so I think that's the positive, is just the rights that we have, and then using F3 to kind of let people know what their rights are and how they can live in those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hopeful as we observe churches starting to step up and get more engaged, because when you have courageous pastors, then you have a courageous congregation, and that's extremely exciting to see that the church is realizing they don't have to be afraid anymore. And I don't know if it gets any more exciting than that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you both so very much for your time and this initiative. And before I let you go, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I'd just say, if you want to get involved, you can go to, again, firstliberty.org/F3. There'll be a lot of different opportunities to get involved, ways to connect with us if you have questions. You may be in this demographic, or your kids or grandkids might be in this demographic. So we're happy to connect, and you can forward this on to anyone who you think might be interested, and we're happy to talk.
Totally. Be a leader in your community. Yeah, take this opportunity to lead your family and friends, and learn what it means to be a strong American standing up for religious freedom.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, again, thank you both for your time and for your passion for the next generation of leaders and building them up and educating them and activating them and mobilizing them. So thank you both.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
To find out more about the work we do at First Liberty to defend religious liberty, you can check us out at firstliberty.org. And to find out more about the F3 initiative, you can go to firstliberty.org/F3. First Liberty, fighting for what matters most.